Psalm 27 verse 14, it says this: "Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord." I think this is a very powerful verse. There's so much to say to us, especially in those times we find ourselves coming to God because we want something. It speaks about waiting for the Lord. And I guess it's probably true that all of us really find ourselves in those positions of waiting for God. When we're praying for something, we're praying for something we haven't yet received. Or maybe we're wanting more of something of God, more of Himself, and we don't feel we yet have it. And so we are in a position of waiting. So what does it mean to wait upon Him? Well, I love the hope that this verse gives about waiting, because it speaks about whilst we are waiting, we can be strong and take heart. I think often we think that we can be strong when we have received from Him. But this verse says the opposite. It's while we are waiting, we can be strong and take heart. So let's have a look at why. It all comes down really, I think, to what we mean by waiting. There are two ways, I think, in which we can find ourselves waiting. One way is when we're waiting for something that there's not really much chance of it actually happening. For example, supposing you put on your best clothes, grab a big flag and go down to the high street to wait for the Queen to pass by. Well, actually, there's not much chance that's going to happen unless, of course, she's got an engagement in your particular town and she travels by car and she chooses that particular route to pass by. Well, then you'd be okay. But just to do it randomly on the off chance, well, you look a bit of a Charlie, really. But the other way of waiting is to wait for something with a certainty that's going to happen. Supposing you want to catch a train and you have a timetable saying when it's going to happen. You've caught the train before and you go to the station and you can actually see the train approaching the platform. Well, then your waiting is of a very different nature because you're waiting for something. There's a pretty good chance it's going to happen. If you can see the train coming, you're probably going to be able to get it. Now, they're both examples of waiting, but I wonder which do you think sums you up most? Do you find yourself waiting for something you think isn't going to happen? Or is there a fair certainty that it will? I guess to put this in a more basic way, I suppose it's this: what are we actually expecting God to do? And I think our attitude is often revealed by the way that we pray. And what we encourage is an attitude of prayer that we call encounter prayer. And what we are encouraging in this is that we come to Him relying on three wonderful truths, three wonderful realities, actually as real as anything else we can hope for. And the first is the reality of the love of God for us. Now, I think we often doubt the love of God because we don't feel it. We don't feel that whatever we expect to feel. But actually, this love of God is so real, and it's been proved by His giving Jesus to us. God loved the world so much that He gave His only Son for us. Our reliance on that love is not about whether we feel it or not. It's actually about the fact that He gave us Jesus. That's how much we are loved. The second reality on which we can hope, really hope, it is the presence of Jesus with us now. Again, this is a reality because He has come to us. Actually, we never need to ask, is He here? The letter of the Ephesians speaks about Jesus ascending to heaven so that He can fill the whole universe. His ascension is spoken about not of a leaving earth to go to heaven, but actually are going to heaven so he can fill more of the earth than he did in his ministry. The third reality is the availability of the power of his Spirit. You know, the Bible speaks about the stunning things that God does for us. Whether it's bringing healing to people's bodies or whether it's transforming our hearts and our minds. These aren't things we can do in our own strength. We need the power of God to bring them about. And that's the power that still flows from the person of Jesus, just as it did when he walked the earth. And that's the power we call upon today. So all of this is why we can be strong and take heart while we are waiting for God to act. Because we are wonderfully loved. Because we are not alone. And because there is a power available for us all. So let's take all that to heart as we come to him in the days ahead.